Welcome back to Breakdown. It's Monday, December 4th, 2023. JJ, weekends football, Big Ten versus SEC. We're going to talk about all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the whole world's going to be talking about the Big Ten and SEC now.
Are you ready to do it?
Always ready.
Let's do it. Okay, JJ, college football, actually, we're going to have the states. We're going to talk about the championship playoff that occurred over the weekend. And then we're going to talk about the college football playoff selected teams.
Yeah.
The first game last weekend, Friday. Washington, Oregon State. You got it right, JJ. Washington, Oregon.
Yeah.
I said Oregon would cover the 9.5. You told me no way.
Yeah, not only did Oregon not cover the 9.5, they didn't even win straight up.
Wow.
For the third consecutive time in a row, Oregon loses to Washington by 3 points. Exactly 3 points.
You were not surprised. I was surprised. How good is Washington?
Washington is really good, especially if you give them a little bit of time to get healthy. I mean, everyone is outside of Roma Dunzie in their receiving core has been in and out of the lineup. They've been banged up. Their quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., a lot of people said that he hasn't been the same. He's been banged up. Well, now they get a month to prepare. So, I think, they've been doubted before. And, all they done is won. They're the first team ever to go through the Pac-12 season undefeated.
USC never did that?
The Pac-12, not Pac-10.
Okay.
They didn't do it in the Pac-10, in the Pac-12.
I got you.
Washington was the first team to do it in its last year of existence.
The last year of the Pac-12 existence.
Yeah, so, I've always thought, Michael Penix Jr. is underrated, and, I think he kind of showed that on the world stage. He's going to probably end up in the top 2 for Heisman. He might win it, but, we'll see.
Yes, sir. We'll see. The other game, JJ, let's go to the Big 12.
Yeah, let's go to the Big 12.
Texas played Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Right away, the referee blew a call like 3 minutes into the game. Did that make a difference?
Did that make a difference? I can't say that it did.
Final score was 49-21, Texas.
And honestly, it could have been worse. I mean, Quinn Ewers threw for the most yards in Big 12 conference game history.
Yeah.
In Texas's last appearance in the Big 12 championship game.
Texas had way over 300 yards of offense in the first half.
Yeah, they were on cruise control.
Yeah.
They really could do whatever they wanted against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, I mean, they had an admirable season. They were expected to finish, I think, second to last in the Big 12, and they went 9-3 before the championship game. And, Gundy, he has his own way about him. He's a bit of a cowboy himself. He's a little bit of a renegade. And, say what you will, but he produces and he gets results that a lot of coaches, down in Stillwater have never done. And, yeah.
So, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. McClure.
Were you impressed by Texas' decisive victory?
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed. I think, they have a very dynamic offense. They have, some stout guys up front on the defensive line and offensive line. But, Sarkisian, say what you will about him. He's had his ups and downs, but he's really gotten Texas together. They haven't made it here since Colt McCoy in 2009. That was the last time they made it this far.
A one-loss team with their biggest win being victory in Tuscaloosa over Alabama. 10-point win, week number 2.
I mean, making it to the playoff. I mean, the year 2009 against Florida, where I think was it the second offensive snap of the game.
Oh, the quarterback got hurt?
Yeah, Colt McCoy got hurt, and then I don't know how much longer I watched that game for, but it was very obvious early on that was not.
It got kind of ugly once he went out.
Yeah, it was not. It was
unexpected, but that was back then. But JJ,
yeah,
another big conference championship game. Louisville playing with their third string Florida State.
Yeah,
playing with their third string quarterback.
Louisville's starting quarterback just looked like a third string quarterback, but that's another story. But I mean, Florida State's defense, you can't deny how amazing they are.
Yeah, Florida State won 16-6.
They did win 16-6.
Were you impressed by Florida State's play?
Yes and no.
Let's go with the yes first. Why the yes?
The defensive line was in Louisville's backfield all day. They had the transfer from Albany and the transfer from Central Michigan just wrecking shop on their defensive line, and they were just making the guy who the quarterback Plummer. He's not related to Jake Plummer. What's up? Jack Plummer. He's not related to Jake Plummer,
Right.
But they just had the same last name.
Jake Plummer was the NFL quarterback with Arizona for many years.
Yeah. Former Arizona State Sun Devil as well. So he was making his night a nightmare. So their defense was amazing. I would have to say that.
Florida State started the game with a quarterback, JJ, who has only thrown 4 passes his entire career in college.
True freshman, I think he's a preferred walk-on.
Yep. So he had thrown 4 passes. I think he managed the game quite well.
I mean, for what you were expecting to give out of a true freshman who, wasn't going to be playing in the playoff games had Florida State got invited. The second string quarterback was in concussion protocol. It wasn't like it was an ACL or something that was anticipated to linger for a long time, but they still made the decision that.
Yeah. Well, JJ, let's hit the SEC and then let's hit the Big Ten.
Okay, let's do it.
Alabama and Georgia, in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. You know the biggest thing about that game, JJ?
What was the biggest thing about the game?
The biggest thing about that game, that if you had a general admission ticket, you couldn't get any alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's what they did. But aside from the alcoholic beverages, the game.
So some people got alcoholic beverages.
Yes,
is what you're saying.
That's right.
So just not you plebeian general admission, not you. Okay.
But JJ, 27-24, Georgia hadn't lost a game since the 21 SEC championship game. They lost that game to Alabama. They still got in the playoff that year and ended up winning it all. But this year, they lose to Alabama. How impressed were you by...
They're not getting in the playoff this year.
They didn't get into the playoff. How impressed were you by Alabama?
Alabama was very impressive. I think, throughout the season, they've had their ups and downs. They lost to Texas. They almost lost to South Florida. They beat Arkansas, a 4-win Arkansas team by 3. And
they were that close, Arkansas was. Go ahead.
They were that close. And then Auburn, for all intents and purposes, should have beaten them.
4th and 31?
Yeah, 4th and 31. They should have beaten Alabama, a week after losing pretty substantially to a New Mexico State team.
Yeah.
So, Alabama, say what you want, but they're resilient and they never say die.
JJ, when I think of Alabama, I think about the guy who got benched in game number 3 for Alabama, who has turned out to me to be one of the better quarterbacks. And I'm talking about Mr. Milroe.
Jalen Milroe from Houston, Texas.
How good is he, JJ, and how good is Alabama?
He also has a never say die attitude. I think he's very good. He plays to his strengths. I think Alabama is better at playing to his strengths. Tommy Reese is new to Alabama. He's in his first year there. Last year he was in South Bend. Okay. It's an adjustment for everybody, but he handled getting benched really well. He handled it about as well as anybody could expect him to. He handled it about as well as his mentor, Jalen Hurts, also from Houston, Texas. Well,
the other Big Ten game, I wanted to move on a little bit.
Okay.
Michigan, Iowa, in their Big Ten championship game. The last one. How did the West do this year, JJ, in the Big Ten championship game?
Well, the defensive lineman Lee Logan said that he was very proud of Iowa's efforts and that they did it on the up and up, and they did it very clean, and he was just very proud of the ethics and the way that they handled it.
He gave up 26 points.
He did give up 26 points.
And this offense scored 0.
But the spread
was 23.
Was 35.
Oh, yeah, they'd gone up to 35?
No, the over under for the game was 35.
Okay.
The spread was 20.
So they kept it under.
Yeah, so they kept it under.
All right. Man, Michigan's defense has been rolling.
Yeah, Michigan's defense has indeed been rolling.
Their offense has been rolling. Does Michigan have a weakness?
Well, their offense, the offensive line, while they have been rolling, they have lost their best player, the All-American center, Zach Zinner.
Okay.
He's out for the year. That's a bit of an issue. Another guy went out in the championship game against Iowa. He's supposed to be back, but...
Let's talk about the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me the 4 teams?
Michigan, number 1, Michigan.
Michigan, number 1.
Will not be playing Florida State. They'll be playing Alabama.
We're going to talk about it in a minute. Alabama must be number 4. Michigan,
they are number
1.
4. And then the 2 and 3 matchup, which that game will be in Atlanta, right?
No, New Orleans.
New Orleans, I mean. Yeah, so that will be, of course, the West Coast Washington Huskies, the home favorite. They'll be facing the Texas Longhorns.
Which New Orleans is not but a hop, skip, and a jump from Austin. So I'm thinking actually Texas will be the home team.
But Michigan got to pick their
the
number 1 overall seed gets to pick choose their preference, and they think that they would have a better advantage against Alabama, and they're right because nobody goes north, So the options are either the West Coast or the South. So Michigan had to pick the West Coast.
JJ, tell me really quickly, why no FSU? 13-0, baby. Just win, baby. 13-0.
Most of those wins.
Why not in the college football playoff?
Yeah, most of those wins came with a Heisman Trophy candidate, Jordan Travis, one of their best players of all time, and he broke his leg in front of everybody. Everybody.
Well, we know what happened with Ohio State. The first year of the 14 playoff system, they were down to their third string quarterback.
Yeah, and that's what
Florida State won it
was. All. They were down to their third string quarterback against Louisville in the ACC championship game. However, unlike Ohio State, they beat Louisville by 10. Ohio State beat Wisconsin by 59 points that year.
It was like 59-0.
It was 59-0. It was the last time the team got shut out in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah. So,
which again was a Big Ten West team
because go ahead.
The Big Ten West has never beaten the Big Ten East,
and they won't have a chance to do that.
Yeah. So,
JJ, did the selection committee get it right with the 4 teams that they picked?
Depending on what their mission statement was, I would argue yes. If their mission statement was to get the 4 most deserving teams in, then they absolutely did not. Florida State deserved to make it more than Alabama. I think that was very, very obvious. However, if the mission statement was to get the 4 best teams in, I think the University of Michigan's reaction. Did you see that viral video?
There was no evidence.
Did you see that? Did you see the viral video?
When they found out that they were playing Alabama, no hooray, yeah, and all this stuff, they were like...
There were audible gasps. So, no, I don't know. It was just, I think that's evident that they did get the 4 best teams in.
Okay.
What do you think? Well, actually, they got 3 of the 4 best teams in. Georgia's still probably one of the best 4 teams in the country.
I'm going to say this. I think Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State all got shafted. And I say that because I'm going to go back to 2021 when the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12 created their alliance based on a handshake deal that delayed the 12-team playoff for a whole year. That alliance did nothing to benefit football. It was supposed to benefit the athletes. I don't think it did anything. If anything, I think it hurted football in that this year, there definitely should have been more than 4 teams. And what's shocking is that it took this long for that weakness to actually show up. That's my take.
Yeah, there's always been a Power 5, but there's, never really been an issue until this year. However, I'm not going to blame any of those conferences or the alliance. I'm going to go back and blame Greg Sankey because he's the one that wanted to expand it a month after it being revealed that that they were going in and taking Texas and Oklahoma from the Big 12, destabilizing them and weakening them.
That
Very, very, crucially, I think that was a time where I also would be hesitant to go into any type of agreement that would change anything in the favor of Greg Sankey at that moment in time. So I think if providing a little context in those moments.
I don't see how that favored the SEC. But JJ, let's talk Michigan.
Well,
Talk Michigan and Alabama.
The SEC and the Big Ten are fine, as you can see.
Let's talk Michigan and Alabama.
Let's talk about Michigan and Alabama.
Is this Jim Harbaugh's best ever college football team that he's taken to Pasadena to play Alabama?
Yeah, I would have to say it is.
Is this the very best? Is this Nick Saban's worst college playoff team that he's got in the college playoff?
I can't remember. I mean, there was some of the early Alabama years, like the year after they. Okay, because I guess that for the college football playoff, I would say it would probably have to be the worst one.
That's okay. So Alabama taking their worst, Michigan's taking their best. Michigan's a 2.5. Well, it opened at 2.5 point favorite. Now it's down to 1.5 point favorite. Alabama and Harbaugh met in 1999 in the Citrus Bowl.
Did they now?
Yeah, Alabama won 35-7. So Alabama, Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh gets to play again. JJ, this is the first time in 77 games that Alabama has been an underdog to a non-SEC team.
As of now. We don't know how it's going to close.
Oh, okay. That's true.
As of now. It opened as Michigan being 2.5 point favorite. Now, as of today, December 4th, they're 1.5 point favorites.
Okay.
Let's check in New Year's.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
okay.
New
New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. Okay. Because the game is on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
In Pasadena, 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, JJ. I'm not going to pick a team in that game until I get a little closer. But what intrigues you most about that game?
Michigan has a very dominant offensive and defensive line, and I want to see them go up against the SEC in a year where the SEC has been weakened. The best the best out of conference win that the SEC has is Kentucky over Louisville.
I'll tell you what intrigues me the most about that game.
What?
I want to see what kind of speed Michigan has.
Okay.
I think Alabama's defensive backs are really, really good. Michigan was able to run the ball at will against Penn State, Ohio State, basically as well. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball against Alabama, and I think they're going to have to pass the ball to win. And if J.J.
Because of Zach Zenner being out, or because of Alabama's?
Because of Alabama's cover corners.
Okay.
Because their cover corners, no, the question how they wouldn't run the ball. Michigan wouldn't run the ball because Alabama's entire front.
Okay.
Their entire front, but I think they're going to have to pass the ball in order to win. And what intrigues me about is how good J.J. McCarthy, who at one point in time this year was the front runner for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, pretty late into the season as well.
Yeah, so that part intrigues me. Anything else about that game? Are you ready to pick a winner now? Or you're going to wait? It's a long ways away for the people that play.
Well, what intrigued me is Jalen Milroe against Michigan secondary as well. So I'm also interested in the secondary's performance, but you just put the script on that, and that's what I want to see.
Texas, Washington.
Yeah.
In the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans.
Yeah, arguably the two best receiving corps in the country.
What about that game stand out to you? Two things stand out to me.
Offensive coordinators. I mean the head coaches who made their name as offensive coordinators, the wizardry that they can come up with.
Yeah.
The best player in the country, Michael Penix Jr., the best receiving corps in the country in the Washington Huskies, Texas A&M, or Texas, the second best receiving corps in the country. That's what that game says to me. It's a rematch of last year's Alamo Bowl.
You're right. It's a rematch of last year's bowl. What intrigues me about it, you mentioned offense, is get ready to start counting. If you're doing push-up at every score, get ready to do a lot of push-ups. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Should be.
The other thing that intrigues me, though, is Texas defensive backs. I think they're very, 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 very weak. And I don't know how many varies I did, but if I didn't do at least 10, I didn't do enough.
Like LSU?
Oh, yes.
That bad?
Oh, man, that's a good comparison.
Similar?
I would think Texas may be worse, to tell you the truth. But, Texas one-loss Texas.
Yeah.
But their offense.
But how many quarterbacks in the Big 12 had the ability to exploit that this year?
Exactly. That's my point. That's my point.
Dylan Gabriel for Oklahoma did.
Sure, you're right, and you're right. It was a high scoring game, that game. I think that will be a very entertaining game.
Yeah, I think Washington's offensive line is going to have to hold up, similar to how they did against Oregon. That was I know a lot of people's weak point entering the game, and Washington's offensive line really held up. Their running back was phenomenal in pass protection as well, so he's going to have to, stick his nose in there as well. And it's going to be different going up against Texas's guys and Oregon guys, but we'll see.
Mr. Jackson.
Mr. McClure.
What else you got for us?
What else I got? That's all I got for college football as of now. Recapping the.
Okay, I want to say this: the transfer portal opened up today for everyone. Who was it?
Kyle McCord entered it. Quarterback from Ohio State.
Yes, it's gonna be very, very, very interesting. It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. We'll talk about that as things develop. But JJ,
that
WPS, we'll pick Suey.
We'll pick Suey.
Next.